Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Talking Point here on WESN. Once again, we're coming to you virtually, but nevertheless, we're pleased, we're happy that we're able to still have a show this morning because, as mentioned yesterday, and perhaps every day as the story is in Trinidad and Tobago, there is a lot to talk about, and therefore, missing one day is going to do the world of injustice for us here at Talking Point and for you, the viewer. As you can see on screen, also with me virtually this morning is my co-host and colleague, Mr. Sean Michael Small. Good morning, Sean.
Morning.
And with us this morning is our regular Tuesday commentator, the former youth parliamentarian and, should we say, a brother here at Talking Point, Mr. Camille Pascal. Good morning, Camille.
Good morning, Keaton. Good morning, Sean, and good morning to all our viewers and listeners.
Well, gentlemen, I know for various circumstances we're all with each other this morning via Zoom, but nevertheless, that is sometimes part of the narrative. So as we get into the discussion this morning, we start things off by speaking about once more national security, following an entire episode of Talking Point yesterday, which was based mostly on national security. This morning, we continue that conversation as it relates to the office of the Commissioner of Police. There was a debate last week over the government appointing an acting Commissioner of Police. That is with Ola Christopher, who's Deputy Commissioner of Police, acting Deputy Commissioner of Police, becoming acting Commissioner of Police as the current acting Commissioner of Police, Mr. McDonald Jacob, is out of the country. This morning, we're speaking about the fact that the Police Service Commission has compiled a merit list, and it is being reported that the former Commissioner of Police, controversial figure, Mr. Gary Griffith, controversial for many reasons, is back in the race, officially back in the race for the position of Commissioner of Police. Gentlemen, I'll be very honest with you, that's not surprising to me. I think the surprising part is when it comes to the debate in Parliament over who is elected as the Commissioner of Police. But his name being on the list is not entirely surprising. Sean?
I mean, it kind of makes you wonder what the whole point of the fiasco that unfolded last year was. Why go to great lengths to get the merit list withdrawn? Again, there's always the possibility that there was some other reason to get the merit list withdrawn, right? We don't know. Maybe there was another name with another report. Nothing technically is there to suggest that. So the fact that he's there, does this mean that his name will go up before Parliament? Does this mean that his candidacy will be debated openly and publicly? Does this mean that there is the possibility that he can't even be Commissioner of Police? The last part, I very much doubt. I expect this might be some form of cover. See, look, we're considering him. We're not unfair. However, we have gone now for over a year without a Commissioner of Police. At a time when we've seen crime escalate to heights previously unknown. And I do have to wonder, what would have happened if Gary Griffith was there? Now, maybe he would have been exposed. Or maybe his style and his strategies and whatever might have made a difference. We'll never really know. You can't really judge history in hindsight quite that way, with possibilities of what ifs. But I don't necessarily understand it from the point is, why did we go through that mess last year that caused the entire Police Service Commission to be collapsed, to have to be replaced, of which the members have not spoken about any further with regards to what happened. And it took the new commission, it seemed as though they had to restart the situation from the very beginning. And then on top of that, there's some other things circulating out there in social media that have been published by the other party that implies other things, but how truthful or how easily they could be verified, I'll save that for later.
Well, Camille, Sean is questioning exactly why it is we went through all that mess last year. And I'll point out that last year it was more of a political mess with the Police Service Commission becoming a body which should have been independent in terms of decision-making, autonomous to that of the government, somehow being marred in political controversy, and the Prime Minister even himself admitting he was the one that was at President's house who actually requested and received in return the merit list from the President. A political controversy that became a public spat between the former Commissioner of Police and the Prime Minister. Now that has changed, and now we're seeing a new Police Service Commission. A year later, a new shortlist. But if that is the case, I think, is it that now we're seeing that there is some level of independence to a politically appointed body, or is there more to come out of this?
Well, I think Sean would have covered a lot of, or most of the bases in terms of what would have taken place over the last year. And Sean is absolutely correct in saying, why go to that length or go to that extent in terms of wanting to have the name of Mr. Griffith withdrawn from the list, or the list itself, the entire list itself withdrawn, because Mr. Griffith is reported to have topped that particular list. The thing about it is that they could have allowed it to go to Parliament, as many people would have gotten to know after the fact, and just not support him. It's very simple. But they would have gone different lengths to allow for him to be, for his time as Commissioner of Police to be extended even after his period of being the actual commissioner had ended. His contract had ended, rather. So it speaks a lot, and it kind of makes you wonder, well, what was the purpose of all of this? You had the former Attorney General at one point back in July last year changing the law to allow for the present commissioner to act even at the end of the former commissioner rather, to act at the end of his contract, when they could have simply allowed this to go forward if they didn't support him, just like they did back in 2018 when there were other persons on the list. When their names came up for debate in Parliament, they said, yes, but we don't support this person, and they don't vote in favor of them. And it's that simple. But to go to that extent, and now we see Mr. Griffith's name appearing on the list once again, as anyone's name could appear on it once you fit the criteria and you meet the requirements of the Police Service Commission. Even I can apply once I have the experience and the qualifications. So it makes you question a lot.
John, I saw you had a point to make.
Well, that is the next question with regards to qualifications, because I think there was more than one occasion we saw qualifications that made us question, is this a way that they're trying to ensure that Guy Griffith will not have an opportunity to reapply? I believe it's 15 years police service with increasing responsibilities or so I can't remember the exact wording. Now, granted, I do wonder if the mission of the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment allows that to basically qualify someone to meet that criteria in law enforcement, because the mission of the TNT Regiment, one would argue, is not really to defend us against some foreign foe. I'm not even too sure who exactly that would be right now, but rather to support the Ministry of National Security and Law Enforcement. Same thing with the Coast Guard. So if that's the case, fine. But then to some extent, I
Diwali time again. Come to Prem Singh's Puja Bhavan for all your Diwali essentials. Get your clay diyas, cotton wicks, floating wicks, beautifully decorated imported diyas. And now in stock, our long-lasting, easy-lighting wax diyas. Fasting? We have frozen vegetarian meals, exciting Indian spices and grocery items, decorated mithai boxes, prasad bags, freshly ground elaichi powder, and a paper sohari leaves. And don't forget our popular, tasty, mouth-watering mithai. We have simple Diwali Puja guides on CD with a Puja handout, and our helpful staff will assist you with all the required ingredients to perform your Diwali Puja. Get great deals on lantern decorations, electric diya string lights, and happy Diwali decorations. Visit us at the corner of Watt Street, Curep, or at St. Ives Street, Chaguanas, opposite the Charleville taxi stand, or call 663-6084. Prem Singh's Puja Bhavan. It's a family tradition, serving the nation and Dharma. Lakshmi Mata's divine blessings to all. For your convenience, both branches are open on Sundays until Diwali.
Diwali is in the air again, and Royal Castle reminds you to try its yummy veggie burger. The Royal Castle veggie burger is great on its own or in a combo with a side and a 16-ounce drink. And it's healthy too. A nutritious patty made with oats, lentils, chana, potatoes, and carrot inside a This season, try the Castle's tasty and healthy veggie burger. Shubh Diwali from Royal Castle.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through. Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard? People who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion.
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
Join me, Sule A. Joseph, as I delve into the day-to-day psychological issues plaguing our society. We will discuss behaviors that encompass the biological influences, social pressures, and environmental factors that affect how you think, act, and feel. Sight, Thursdays at 11:30 a.m., only on WESN, Content Capital.
Saturday, November 5th, Shore Park, Tobago. It's Million Laughs Caribbean Comedy Commerce. The Mega Laugh Festival to end the Tobago Carnival season, featuring Tobago's finest in folklore and musical entertainment, together with some of the Caribbean's top comedians, Larry Joseph, Daryl the Saint Mendoza, Dolores, Alan the Entertainer, Handsome Sun, Mako Media, and more. Get your ticket specials available on Island E-Tickets and various outlets nationwide, or visit the Million Laughs handles for more info. It's Comedy Commerce in Tobago, a wee kind of commerce.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here. Knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing now, Andy.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is there no pressure on Nicholas Paul?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the red, white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you, what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through? Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
Come travel with us as we explore Diwali across the globe. Diwali is celebrated in many countries worldwide, but do you know the traditions and practices of each nation? From Guyana to Australia, WESN presents Diwali Passport, October 3rd to October 23rd, with replays on October 24th. It's Diwali Passport, a WESN exclusive.
You have to remember, Jerome.
What?
It's just the other day I had a bypass surgery.
That I mean you have to bypass me?
You know the position I in?
Position? When that was? You know how long me see you in a position?
Saturday, November 5th, Shore Park, Tobago. It's Million Laughs Caribbean Comedy Commerce. The Mega Laugh Festival to end the Tobago Carnival season, featuring Tobago's finest in folklore and musical entertainment, together with some of the Caribbean's top comedians, Larry Joseph, Daryl the Saint Mendoza, Dolores, Alan the Entertainer, Handsome Sun, Mako Media, and more. Get your ticket specials available on Island E-Tickets and various outlets nationwide, or visit the Million Laughs handles for more info. It's Comedy Commerce in Tobago, a wee kind of commerce.
Is it politics? What is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing now, Andy.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is there no pressure on Nicholas Paul?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the red, white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you, what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through? Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
Join me, Sule A. Joseph, as I delve into the day-to-day psychological issues plaguing our society. We will discuss behaviors that encompass the biological influences, social pressures, and environmental factors that affect how you think, act, and feel. Psyched. Thursdays at 11:30 a.m. WESN, Content Capital.
Saturday, November 5th, Shore Park, Tobago. It's Million Laughs Caribbean Comedy Commerce. The Mega Laugh Festival to end the Tobago Carnival season, featuring Tobago's finest in folklore and musical entertainment, together with some of the Caribbean's top comedians, Larry Joseph, Daryl the Saint Mendoza, Dolores, Alan the Entertainer, Handsome Sun, Mako Media, and more. Get your ticket specials available on Island E-Tickets and various outlets nationwide, or visit the Million Laughs handles for more info. It's Comedy Commerce in Tobago, a wee kind of commerce.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing nowadays.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is it no pressure on Nicholas Ball?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the red, white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in
inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion.
Or being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
I am Kemuel Pascal, and we are WESN, Content Capital.
With society plagued by a host of issues, with debates surrounding our urgent concerns falling short, with questions of our future not always being answered,
the conversation continues. Join me, Kemuel Pascal, as the voice of the youth comes to life. We will confront the controversial topics of today's world to gain answers that are key for a better tomorrow. One and One with me, Kemuel Pascal. Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Only on WESN Content Capital.
Let your voice be heard. Call Madam Fix It on WESN, the only place that effectively helps you with your woes. Having problems getting onto government agencies, water woes, NIS and pension problems, potholes, and much, much more. Call me, Madam Fix It, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right here on WESN. Let me fix it for you.
I am Rondell Donowa, and you are watching WESN, the Content Capital.
People really want to know, what about me? Where do I fit?
Yes.
What is in the ride for me in terms of a better Trinidad and Tobago? And I'm pleased to shed some light on that.
The purpose of being, it is not punitive, it is not rehabilitative.
We, the police officers, we are professional, and we are here for whenever the survivor is ready to come forward.
We have the right to private and family life, the right to religious freedoms and beliefs and thoughts and expression. But these rights are not absolute. Certain rights can be limited.
The law is to govern the whole, is for all of us in public.
Join me, Sule A. Joseph, as I delve into the day-to-day psychological issues plaguing our society. We will discuss behaviors that encompass the biological influences, social pressures, and environmental factors that affect how you think, act, and feel. Sight, Thursdays at 11:30 a.m., only on WESN, Content Capital.
I am Mahi Sekas, and you are watching WESN, the Content Capital.
I'm on set to two very lovely dispensing opticians from optometrists today. We have Yusra and we have Kyla.
For blue light, an interesting fact is 15 minutes exposed to the sunlight equals 12 hours on our screens.
What's up, Doc? Tuesdays and Thursdays here on WESN, Content Capital.
I am Denise St. Clair, and we are WESN, the Content Capital.
Come travel with us as we explore Diwali across the globe. Diwali is celebrated in many countries worldwide, but do you know the traditions and practices of each nation? From Guyana to Australia, WESN presents Diwali Passport, October 3rd to October 23rd, with replays on October 24th. It's Diwali Passport, a WESN exclusive.
AM Prime on WESN, the only place from 6 to 7:30 a.m. where you can get the most analytical and thorough interviews and regional reports.
The Barbados Labour Party, led by the Prime Minister Mia Motley, once again able to achieve a clean sweep in yesterday's general election.
I think a lot of people have underestimated the power of Tobago nationalism.
If the government is afraid to say it, I, Martin George, I am saying it this morning on your show, Andy, there will be no carnival before Ash Wednesday.
Grab a cup of coffee and start your day right watching AM Prime with Andy Johnson weekdays from 6 a.m. only on your content capital, WESN.
I'm Sean Michael Small, and we are WESN, the content capital.
What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers? Please exercise more patience. You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best. I'll say at the very least it's a conspiracy of laziness against the people.
Join me, Keaton Shaw.
And me, Sean Michael Small, for Talking Point.
Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
We go in-depth on the trending issues and engage the most controversial newsmakers
as we get them to account to the people for their actions.
You can't go to the government with nothing. You can't go to cabinet with an empty hand, with a wish.
I'm glad that we're having this a sober, mature discussion.
In the present situation, I expect a continuation of the chaos.
Join us for the discussion, Mondays to Fridays,
only on WESN,
the content capital. I'm Keaton Shaw, and we are WESN, the content capital.
Let your voice be heard. Call Madam Fix It on WESN, the only place that effectively helps you with your woes. Having problems getting onto government agencies, water woes, NIS and pension problems, potholes, and much, much more. Call me, Madam Fix It, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right here on WESN. Let me fix it for you.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
AM Prime on WESN, the only place from 6 to 7:30 a.m. where you can get the most analytical and thorough interviews and regional reports.
The Barbados Labour Party, led by the Prime Minister Mia Motley, once again able to achieve a clean sweep in yesterday's general election.
I think a lot of people have underestimated the power of Tobago nationalism.
If the government is afraid to say it, I, Martin George, I am saying it this morning on your show, Andy, there will be no carnival before Ash Wednesday.
Grab a cup of coffee and start your day right watching AM Prime with Andy Johnson weekdays from 6 a.m. only on your content capital, WESN.
With society plagued by a host of issues, with debates surrounding our urgent concerns falling short, with questions of our future not always being answered.
The conversation continues. Join me, Kemuel Pascal, as the voice of the youth comes to life. We will confront the controversial topics of today's world to gain answers that are key for a better tomorrow. One and One with me, Kemuel Pascal, Wednesdays at 10 a.m. only on WESN Content Capital.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
The best
for your baby is at dbesttoys.com. We have the best strollers, car seats, walkers, feeding accessories, playpens, cribs, clothing, and the widest range of brand name toys like Barbie, Hot Wheels, Nerf, LOL, Fisher Price, Cocomelon, Intex pools, Amazon Fire tablets, HP and Gateway laptops, and the best bikes, scooters, skateboards, and ride-on. Visit us in-store at 7 Main Road, McBean, or shop online now at dbesttoys.com. That's dbesttoys.com. We have the best toys at the best prices.
Things are sometimes in the media and in television. Nevertheless, we're back and we thank our good friends in Master Control for their continued hard work. But, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue the discussion this morning, Sean Michael Small and Camille Pascal is still with us via Zoom, and I'm thankful for that. Now, gentlemen, as I left off, Gary Griffith has thrown his hat in the political arena by forming the National Transformation Alliance. Now, his name is on the merit list after applying for the post once more of Commissioner of Police. There was a bit of a mixture here. So first, last year, we saw that his name was taken off for the Prime Minister for many reasons that the Prime Minister gave, some of which people might argue are justified. Some might say it's totally political. The other side is now that he's thrown his hat in the ring as well as applying for the post of Commissioner of Police. Is it easier to give him the post of Commissioner of Police as a political move because he has some popularity? Is it that they see him as a threat, or is it that Gary Griffith does not stand a chance in the political arena at all? I'm not entirely sure what the Prime Minister is thinking, but these are factors that we should consider. Camille?
Yeah. So what we were speaking about before the break, I think in relation to when you mentioned that some people are in support of him and then there are some people who are saying, well, he still has that level of popularity and that kind of thing. But I think him forming his own political party is one of the things that has or would not rather work in his benefit, because there are people who were on the fence about him being in that particular position. And so they now seeing that, yes, but is this guy really about politics or is he about actually being the commissioner? Now, that being said, it still stands for us to recognize and submit to the fact that any person can apply for the post of Commissioner of Police once you meet the requirements and you have the experience and all that. So even if you were on the fence and you were looking at the fact that he has now formed his own political party and he's re-entering the political arena, it's that one must consider that that doesn't necessarily bar you from applying for the job of Commissioner of Police.
Sean, your thoughts?
Well, ironically, it would be somewhat brilliant to let him be the Commissioner of Police. It's a difficult situation to get into, right? Potentially, it could hurt his popularity if he doesn't do a good job. Now, that all depends on if you believe that, what he was doing is just not going to be effective, or the situation is so far gone that he in that role is not really going to be able to make much of a difference. The flip side to that is the messaging that could possibly send wouldn't necessarily be the best. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of questions with regards to what just happened. I want to get back to that last year, right? The opposition party has published some things. It implies a lot. We can't verify it necessarily, so we don't necessarily want to state it to give it any veracity. But I believe Gary Griffith himself has come out stating his intention to look further into just exactly what happened. Because to some extent now, the lack of transparency over the process is even more maddening if we are, for all intents and purposes, back to square one. Because we have, by all indications, Gary Griffith's name was the name that they wanted off the list. So now that we're back to square one, and it seems that we lost an entire year for nothing with escalating crime, the flip side is it's also very popular. The people might want it. Will it work? At this point, I'm not sure. Because whether we like it or not, he oversaw the country partially through the COVID years. So that puts an asterisk, whether he likes it or not, on the results that were achieved during that time. relatively speaking, were they good results or not, it's difficult to judge because our situation here, as much as he likes to bring up other jurisdictions, our situation here was not exactly the same thing, you know? So you have to be wary about comparing country to country, city to city, especially when there are different cultures, different practices involved. So will he be the answer? I don't know. He might, though, be better than what we have now. But the problem is, the complaint really is not with the current Commissioner of Police or acting Commissioner. The complaint is from the Minister of National Security. And Gary Griffith, at the very least, will provide some sort of leadership to the whole crime-fighting role, something vocal that the public, well, to some extent, at least a great extent, will trust, and someone who, at the very least, will be more transparent or has been more transparent than the politicians on either side of the aisle.
Could we say that for sure? Could we make the argument that Gary Griffith has been absolutely transparent? I mean, he is usually...
Not absolutely, no.
He is about to hold a press conference later this morning in which he promises to reveal evidence of corruption as it relates to the merit list. But putting that aside for the moment, you see, the thing is, gentlemen, Gary Griffith, he really was a charismatic figure in the office of the Commissioner of Police. He really was an individual who would come out and speak very strongly, and he was very adamant in terms of his point. So I think what we saw with Gary Griffith as compared to most other leaders who hold high offices, for example, if I'm comparing Gary Griffith to the Minister of National Security, bear in mind they're two completely different posts and they should be autonomous of each other, though at times they have to work with each other in the interest of national security. Gary Griffith comes across as a more confident individual. He comes across as a more charismatic individual, and I think that is precisely what won a lot of his support. Furthermore, could we make the argument that if Fitzgerald Hines stays as Minister of National Security and Gary Griffith becomes the Commissioner of Police once more, that there is going to be a difference with the level of crime in Trinidad and Tobago? Because certainly it will help the police service, Gary Griffith being there, and it might help the public perception of the TTPS as well. And so Gary Griffith could probably do his job, but then you still have that role of Minister of National Security, which, need I say, is empty right now. In my opinion, you have an individual sitting there, but that position and that role, in my mind, is completely vacant. So, you know, is this really going to help the crime situation in Trinidad and Tobago? Because as much as we're focusing on Gary Griffith, in a sense, we're being unfair to the other candidates, allegedly the other 15 candidates on the list of which we are yet to see. So we can't verify exactly who they are. Because could those individuals also make a difference in that position? Could they work with the current Minister of National Security? You know, what is going to happen? I mean, I think when Gary Griffith became the Commissioner of Police back in 2018, Edmund Dillon was actually taken out of that post and put in housing, and Stuart Young became Minister of National Security. And there was word circulating across Trinidad and Tobago that the reason being is that Gary Griffith simply couldn't work with Edmund Dillon. Somebody else had to be in that office in order for Gary Griffith to be Commissioner of Police. So it goes back. The government did everything to facilitate Gary Griffith as Commissioner of Police. What's happening now? You know, so I myself am confused, but again, his name being on the list does not surprise me. What's going to be interesting is the debate that lies ahead. Camille.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely correct in saying that, but as you would have mentioned, he is set to host a press conference with his attorney, Larry Lalla, this sometime today. I'm not sure if it's this morning or this afternoon. And he has promised to reveal all in terms of the merit list and show that there was some level of impropriety in the merit list being withdrawn. In fact, he actually chastised the current acting commissioner, Mr. McDonald Jacob, who is out of the country and has Acting Commissioner Earl Christopher in that particular position. He has said that he sat on the information for last year knowing exactly what took place in the merit list being withdrawn. And so it will be quite interesting to see, because one of the things that he also mentioned in that particular interview yesterday is the fact that if he is in fact chosen to be commissioner, which we know may not necessarily happen, but we can still be surprised is that if he becomes the commissioner, he will resign from his position as the political leader of the National Transformation Alliance, which is the party that he recently formed. So I think it's an interesting road ahead, but I'm very much interested to see and hear what he has to say in the press conference today so that we can know how things go forward, because obviously I believe that it will have some play or it will factor into how we go forward.
And then that's a brilliant play on the part of the government. Let's take, we put back Guy Griffith there. We say that, you see, he's back in that position, so therefore we are proving that it's non-political. But then at the same time, if Guy Griffith resigns as the political leader of the National Transformation Alliance, I can make the argument that that's one short-lived political party, that the NTA, in my eyes, as far as I'm talking about the current situation, you never know what can change, is dead. That might be the case. You're removing... You put him as commissioner of police. He resigns as political leader of the NTA. I think the NTA is built around Guy Griffith. I think you have to understand that. I don't know what their level of support in the public domain is. However, certainly removing him is effectively killing off the NTA.
Well, you've done two things there. First of all, Guy Griffith is young enough that his political aspirations could wait for another term, maybe even 2 or 3, as being commissioner of police, and it will allow him to potentially improve his public position or not. That's the risk of it, right? However, consider the fact that if he is selected, it's a further slap in the face to the public. Hey, we went through all of this drama just to select the guy that apparently we were trying so hard to get rid of. And I think the government, similar to the indemnity agreement corruption case fiasco, I think the government has put themselves into a corner very successfully. It's incredible how they do it, because if you don't select him, whoever they put is going to be second guessed. Right? Whoever is selected that is not named Gary Griffith is going to be considered less than Gary Griffith unless they do one hell of a job from the very beginning. They will have no room for error. They will have no margins to play with. They will get very little, if any, benefit of the doubt. And as soon as things look as though it's going to continue as bad as it is now, the public are basically going to say, why did we waste our time on person X when we could have had Gary Griffith? And the government, that will be very unpopular. But again, if they pick him, right, and they don't explain, they don't have a good explanation as to what happened, and at the end of the day, and I will be very surprised if Gary Griffith will let this go, because if he's picked and he does not continue to push his side of what happened, that will hurt his public perception as well. He can't stop now, so maybe, because then it will look like he took a deal. So these things, they're very complex with regards to the perception of the people involved, I guess you could say. But I'm not happy with how the government has successfully, again, and this is not the second or third time, I think this is more like the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th time. The opposition didn't have to do anything. The other political critics didn't have to do anything. They did it to themselves. They shot themselves in the foot. They made a situation where now it doesn't matter if they do the right thing anymore, because they will still they still have to explain the mistakes they made in the past. And politicians in this country don't seem to be willing to do that. So I won't be surprised if they double down and they go with option number 2, whoever option number 2 is. And that person might, to be fair, be better qualified than Gary Griffith, but they will be perceived as option number 2 by the public.
Yeah, I think Sean is absolutely correct in saying that, because it's a matter of Gary Griffith kind of came out in the public and sold himself. I mean, he was known before as a Minister of National Security, as a former Minister of National Security under People's Partnership, and I think during that time he would have been very vocal, and even after that he was still seen as somebody very vocal. And so, as Sean mentioned, any person that comes in after him will be seen as they'll have very, very little room to make any sort of mistakes, because all eyes and ears will be on them. watching to see their next move, watching to see what they do, always comparing them to Gary, because Gary was that person out there. He was very vocal, and he was, just a person that, like, you're always going to hear from him. You're guaranteed to hear from Gary or get a story from him probably 3 times at least for the week at any given point in time, just because of the nature of Trinidad in terms of a crime situation and him being who he is as an individual. So it's interesting to see whenever those names go to Parliament, whoever is selected, it will be quite interesting to see how they move and how they operate.
And gentlemen, you've hit the nail on the head. And that is precisely why it backfired against the government. Yes, because Sean, I think both of us have said it before, putting Gary Griffith as the Commissioner of Police was a great political move on the part of the government back then. But it backfired. Because guess what? I don't think the government was expecting Gary Griffith's performance to be where it was, and the public response to be where it was. And I think you also have to understand the two personalities that you were dealing with. You have Gary Griffith versus Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley. I mean, think about it right there. That's a huge clash. So when the Prime Minister realized that, hold on, this has backfired on me, politically this has backfired on me, I have to try and get rid of it. And for whatever reason, maybe the Prime Minister's claims were legitimate, because the Prime Minister had evidence about this. He claims that there were evidence into misconduct. I mean, we're yet to get to the entire extent of the FER report, at least what the Prime Minister has read, because he said it makes for bad reading. So all these things, bear in mind, gentlemen, you're right. Whoever comes after Gary Griffith is going to have a very difficult time in the office, in the public's view. Look at McDonald Jacob, for example. Bear in mind, I don't think we've had any unfair criticisms of McDonald Jacob. Quite frankly, we haven't had to have any unfair criticisms. He's done all the work for us as is. He's made our jobs easier because of his flaws. And I don't mean to sound impolite, and I don't mean to sound harsh, but that is precisely what has happened. He has been his own bad public relations. So we'll see what happens. But as we wrap things up, before we break at 9 o'clock for WSN's News on the Hour, Kevin, I know that you wouldn't be with us after 9 o'clock, but any closing or final comments?
Well, as I mentioned before, it's going to be interesting to hear what Gary has to say in the press conference today in terms of what he has said, what he's saying that he wants to reveal in terms of misconduct on the part of the Prime Minister and other officials in terms of the merit list going to the President last year. So I'm looking forward to that, and of course we will be having a discussion on that sometime in the future.
Sometime in the future, maybe either later this week or next week, Mr. Pascal. So hold on to your seat and make sure your device is fully charged. Sean Michael Small, your closing comments on this particular topic?
Just that the whole situation with not even giving us any sort of explanation. I understand open investigation, blah, blah, blah. I feel as though that some of those ethical rules are conveniently left quite wide so that it allows as much political cover as possible, because this seems to be potentially just another situation where the government says they're going after corruption, like with the corruption case with the former AG, but are they really going to get any results?
Well, I guess we shall see. It depends on what results they are looking for. Remember that. We've probably seen it as the most direct, but it depends on what results the government is looking for or are looking for, because it could be more than one. Kenny Pascal, thank you very much for your contribution once more on the show this morning. We appreciate your presence and your opinion. Wishing you all the best and looking forward to seeing you again very soon.
Thank you. Same to you.
All right. Well, folks, we break now for WSN's News on the Hour. And when we return, we open up the phone lines this morning. Stay tuned.
to WESN News on the Hour. I am Denise St. Clair. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Tobago Carnival to cost $17.5 million. Department of Public Safety to fight crime in Tobago. Beetham sewer pipeline collapse, forming 3 sinkholes. MSJ weighs in on Vincent Nelson. And internationally, 12 shot dead in Mexico bar attack. Now for the details. Tobago Carnival will be staged at a total cost of $17.5 million. The announcement was made by Tourism Secretary Tasha Burris. There will be direct flights from Miami to Tobago for Carnival via Caribbean Airlines. Condor will resume flights to Tobago the first week in November. 1,000 passengers have already been reportedly booked. Tobago Carnival will be held on the weekend of October 28th. A Department of Public Safety and Security is set to be established to combat crime in the Sister Isle. So says THA Chief Secretary Farley Augustin. Mr. Augustin made the announcement during Mandate Monday, where various divisions account for their stewardship thus far. The THA Chief Secretary said the minority leader, Kelvon Morris, reached out to him concerning the crime situation in Tobago, and both intend to meet this week. Tobago has recorded 8 murders for the year thus far. On to some other news now. WASA is set to begin restorative works following a suspected collapsed pipeline at Beetham Gardens. The collapse has led to the appearance of 3 sinkholes in the immediate area. The authority is engaging the required contractor and mobilizing all other resources, commencing the work within the next 24 hours. MSJ leader David Abdullah says taxpayers are paying the ultimate price for the Vincent Nelson outcome. He weighed in on the happenings in a recent interview.
They've made a total mess of it, quite clearly. And you know, taxpayers ultimately, and I know you make that point all the time, taxpayers ultimately are the ones who are paying the price for this. Mr. Vincent Nelson admitted guilt in the High Court to receiving money corruptly. So obviously taxpayers' money was, corruptly taken by Mr. Nelson. But others who may or may not be guilty, we will never know perhaps whether they were guilty or innocent. And that is horrible. And taxpayers' money was spent according to what we have seen in the press.
In international news now, unidentified gunmen opened fire in a bar in a central Mexican city on Sunday, shooting dead 6 women and 6 men. Local authorities said the second mass shooting in that state in less than a month. 3 people were injured in the attack, and security officials were trying to track down the assailants. The motive behind the shooting was not immediately clear. An initial statement by the city had put the death toll at 11. But that was News to the Hour on WESN. I am Denise St. Clair. Thanks for watching.
Diwali time again. Come to Prem Singh's Puja Bhavan for all your Diwali essentials. Get your clay diyas, cotton wicks, floating wicks, beautifully decorated imported diyas, and now in stock, our long-lasting, easy-lighting wax diyas. Fasting? We have frozen vegetarian meals, exciting Indian spices and grocery items, decorated mithai boxes, prasad bags, freshly ground elaichi powder, and paper sohari leaves. And don't forget our popular, tasty, mouth-watering mithai. We have simple Diwali Puja guides on CD with a Puja handout, and our helpful staff will assist you with all the required ingredients to perform your Diwali Puja. Get great deals on lantern decorations, electric diya string lights, and happy Diwali decorations. Visit us at the corner of Watt Street, Kirep, or at St. Ives Street, Chaguanas, opposite the Charleville taxi stand, or call 663-6084. Prem Singh's Puja Bhavan. It's a family tradition, serving the nation and Dharma. Lakshmi Mata's divine blessings to all. For your convenience, both branches are open on Sundays until Diwali. Diwali is in the air again, and Royal Castle reminds you to try its yummy veggie burger. The Royal Castle veggie burger is great on its own or in a combo with a side and a 16-ounce drink. And it's healthy too. A nutritious patty made with oats, lentils, chana, potatoes, and carrot inside a soft bun with tomatoes and lettuce. So for this season, try the Castle's tasty and healthy veggie burger. Shubh Diwali from Royal Castle.
Perfection doesn't happen by chance. Like an artist, the cook selects the main ingredient, one that is worthy of a proud cultural tradition. Trusted to enhance your creations with its richness and versatility. To create a cooking masterpiece, the secret is simple. The brand we know, the brand we trust, the brand our ancestors have been using for generations.
There is only one pure cow brand ghee. Look for the marks of authenticity.
My mom has been shopping here for the last 15 years. So coming here with her, now I have my own family.
The variety of items, cleanliness of the place, the spaciousness.
My favorite section is household.
My husband loves the hardware section and the auto section. My favorite would be stationery.
Price Club is the low price leading supermarket in TNT.
They are the best. I would recommend Price Club to anybody.
Welcome back to Talking Point, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for staying with us this morning. Well, now is the opportunity for you, the viewer, to have your say and to play your part in Talking Point. Your opinions, your thoughts are always welcomed here on the program. Kenil Pascal is not with us. He actually passed 9 o'clock, but myself and Sean Michael Small are here. Well, let's open up the phone lines. The numbers are on your screen. Call in and join us this morning. If there's anything that you'd like to share, comment on the situation surrounding the Commissioner of Police, the Office of the Commissioner of Police, and the merit list. Are you entirely surprised, or do you think there's a lot more to come? This is once more a political move that is trying to be portrayed actually as an independent or autonomous police service commission. I mean, there's many things that we can look at, and I don't think that we are being unfair considering everything that has happened previously. So if there's anything else that you'd like to comment on, well, we're also open and welcome to that. Sean Michael Small, I think there's a lot more to talk about with respect to what's taking place, and there's, as you would have seen from the news, there's that collapse of the sewer system in Beetham. We've had issues here where I am. I mean, I've been unwell and I've had no water, and that's made it 10 times more difficult. But I think that we have a caller on the line with us, if I'm not mistaken. Good morning, caller. You're live on Talking Point.
Yeah, hi, good morning, Keaton and Small.
Morning.
Yeah. You know, one of these days I would like to see where we could come out and say, especially the Indian, the Syrian, and the Chinese, could come out and say how gracious they are for so much things that they have benefited in this country. You know, we need to be so gracious for the amount of things and the privilege that we had and still have in this country, better than any other country. You know, it will be so good to see people come out and say that about the we continue to talk about the negativity, yes, like any other country, we have negative things. But we have a whole lot of good things that we don't talk about. You understand? And we need to share some of that on so that the population could recognize that they should be grateful for what they have. And then we will have people, like the other day when you have the guy from Caption, they were saying that, he wished this bad thing to the people in Parliament. You understand? Because they will recognize we have much to be thankful for. Another thing we must tie in the global and the economic and the climate change with what's happening worldwide to our country today and see that there is a change, what we call not only global changing, but a dynamic in all the countries in the world to change because they see the unequal distribution that happened throughout the pandemic. So thank you.
Thank you very much, caller, for your contribution. We have a caller on the line with us from San Fernando. Good morning, caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, morning. You all hear me clearly?
Good morning. We can hear you.
Yes, morning. Sure, morning.
Morning.
That issue with what you spoke about the Commissioner of Police. I think it's time we move on from Gary Griffith. I don't know if Gary Griffith thinks that position was he was anointed to that position by the Most High. We did him. He is out. Let's move on and try somebody else. The issue I have with Gary Griffith is Gary Griffith seems to play he does not understand that there's a political directorate that the population demands answers from. Because when crap is happening, you know what we do? When it gets out of hand, we start to blame it. We start to look at the what you call it, the Minister of National Security. If we're doing that, does not the Minister of National Security have something to should be able to go to Gary Griffith and expound the concern?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Well,
yeah, Cole, we can hear. I think, Cole, you've raised a fair point, but I also think that the arguments I would make against it is that, sure, okay, fine, let's move on from Gary Griffith, but is there anybody else who can actually work in that position? Is there anybody else who's willing to work in that position? And when I say willing to work, I mean get the job done.
The problem is the powers of the commissioner, the way how it's set up, I believe there's supposed to be a degree of independence. So it's not as though the Minister of National Security can hire or fire him or discipline him. So it's not so clear-cut. What is that the best way to set it up? I don't know. That could be a separate debate. But the system we have right now, with the powers of the commissioner, only the Service Commission could discipline him. It's to say that there's a chain of command. It's very interesting to say the least with regards to the working relationships and how the power dynamics are supposed to work and what is supposed to enforce those, as opposed to well, we just hope it will be that way.
Well, we have a call on the line with us from Piarco. I'll elaborate further on my point after this. Good morning, caller from Piarco.
Sean.
Morning.
What I think is that there is a silent majority that does not support Gary Griffith in this country. And I say that because I remember when the funding for certain aspects of the police service was pulled because of the extrajudicial killings alleged by the U.S. through SWORD. So I think that Gary Griffith has a lot of issues. And if it comes to a vote before the parliament, the government will have enough to come and see before the population why we are not voting for Gary Griffith to be returned to that position. So that's my say, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your contribution, caller.
Thank you, caller.
We have a caller on the line with us from Port of Spain. Good morning, caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, people.
Good morning.
I really would like us to look at this as a cause and effect. Gary Griffith is the effect of the cause of bad constitutional decisions. The police commissioner should really be recruited by the National Security Council. It is to the National Security Council he is responsible because they ultimately have to account to the people. Truly to Gary Griffith. Let me say to you, the Chief Executive Officer of the Port of Spain Corporation, despite the fact that that person, that office, works day to day with no one else but the mayor and the council. The mayor and the council have responsibilities for the discipline, nor the review of the performance of that chief executive officer. That chief executive officer reports to the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Local Government, who does not work at all in a direct way on a day-to-day basis for the achievements of the Port of Spain Corporation with that chief executive officer. It's a similar case in point. We simply have got our ducks lined up in the wrong place. So we are forever spitting in the sky, and it consistently falls back in our face. I don't know if you all understand the point I'm making. And like your friend from Shagonas, do you have any questions of me?
Well, I think if not the same point, I have a similar point. Based on what you said, it goes back to what I was saying before we got you on the line, caller. But I would elaborate when I have the chance.
Well, thank you, caller, for your
later.
Sure. We sorry, Sean, but we have a caller.
Yeah.
Good morning, caller.
Hi, morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Yeah, wonderful program as usual.
Thank you.
Very much concerned this morning, though, is that how do you all come about your topic for the day? As far as I see, I have not learned anything from your program today. And in my estimation, my little knowledge and experience, Gary Griffith is a failed commissioner of police. He's a failed politician. And I cannot see why any HR company, whoever is contracted, whether it's the Police Service Commission or a private organization, to shortlist 16 persons. I have done interviews at a CEO level. And when we shortlisted, we would have done 8. And then you go down to 4, 2, and then you look for the right one. How on earth could you shortlist 16 persons for the position of commissioner? Gary might have the qualifications, but his character alone would debar him from being shortlisted. I am appalled at this list that they would have selected as being shortlisted. And guys, I respect you all for your opinion and again how you went about selecting your topic for the day. But there are so many other things. The killing in the whole crime situation. This Gary Griffith issue, I think the media on a whole, and Gary knows how to do the PR wrong there. He does it properly. You see, he's having a press release. So therefore, Gary is a PR manager. He's a PR, the guru is a PR guru. And he knows how to work the PR in Trinidad and Tobago. But guys, I could give you anything in the next 2 to 3 months that Gary's party would fail. I'm sure you're not going to take part in the local government election. And as for commissioner, he might drop out somewhere around probably when they drop down to about 4 or 8. Nice program as usual. I respect you all and have a nice day.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you, caller. Well, I think we could inform you after this call from Shigonas as to Before we go about planning the show, we have a call in line with us from Chigones. Good morning, caller.
Did we lose the caller?
I think we've lost the caller. Is the caller with us? Good morning, caller.
Why we change the system? The public service system was always promotion based on performance in the service. The Commissioner of Police, we discussed this some time ago, do not report to the Permanent Secretary. And that is the fundamental problem. Why did they change this to have them reporting to the regulatory body, the body who's supposed to oversee the Permanent Secretary? That is the root cause. As regards his performance, I personally find his performance was poor. All the things I ask your guests you bring in here about why the police don't enforce the law, all that happened during Gary Griffith, and he did nothing about it. In fact, he single-handedly raised the cost of dealing with COVID when he closed down that double space day, contrary to law. And instead of admitting a mistake, he went and closed down every other fast food and put thousands of people had to get public funds. Any questions, gentlemen?
No, not this time. I think your point and Mr. Porter Spain's point are actually not more or less leading or more going in the same direction, running parallel. Thank you, caller.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you, caller.
And I think this is it's good what we're hearing, because it goes, as I said earlier on, there is part of the population which does not support Gary Griffith.
Well, this is the first time I think we have gotten callers, the majority being against him or being critics of him as opposed to supporters. In the past, I believe, while we might have gotten critics, the majority of the callers would have been supporters.
Well, the good thing that we're hearing too is that people are not just calling in and saying, listen, no, forget Gary. They're giving their reasons why. Yeah. And they're making their case and they're arguing, which I respect. Now, we do apologize that the program really surfaced around the post of Commissioner of Police this morning, Gary Griffith. I mean, we had a bit more to speak about, but as you know, with television sometimes, and even with the program this morning, the challenges that we faced and we were able to overcome, that's just how the show ended up being that way. Mm-hmm. But I also understand the point of the caller from David he's making, because, I mean, this is what I'm saying. We've had a program this morning, we've spoken about Gary Griffith, we've spoken about the Commissioner of Police, but there are also other 15 names on that list, of which we are not entirely privy to as yet. And I think when that time comes around, we will have to speak about those 15 names. But he was also right. 15 names on a list, that's a short list. No.
Well, also to the gruesome discovery, with the unfortunate discovery of at least 2 male adult bodies. We did have a show about crime yesterday. We were planning to speak about that, maybe not too in depth, because at the end of the day, you could only use the same descriptive language. The crime situation is already bad. This discovery, it doesn't necessarily change my perception of crime in the country. We've already reached a point where now I think the average citizen has to be a lot more concerned. We can't necessarily say it's gangsters killing gangsters. With regards to the discovery yesterday, however, we don't necessarily know what the motives behind the killings were or who the victims were. And that to some extent is important, because, again, if we get another situation like where we're seeing innocent random people caught in the crossfire, that's a lot more frightening for the average civilian than if somebody was targeted.
And I'd like us to continue that conversation after this call, actually, from Tunapuna. Good morning, caller. Hello, good morning.
Morning, caller. Hi, you're here.
This removal of Gary Griffith didn't have much to do with his performance. or the performance, the assessment of his performance. Gary Griffith was removed because of his continuous statement of cockroach. That was an easy decision for them to make to move him, because over the period of time, people were complaining to them that the government, that this man is embarrassing them by using the term cockroach. And the scholars who talk about a double history here today. When Gary Griffith realized that he was his tenure was affected by that term he used to use.
All right, okay. Caller, I think we've lost you. But when you're calling in to make your point, and I know that we're doing the show virtually this morning, but when you're calling in to make your point, shouting on the phone does not necessarily mean that we're going to hear you any louder or clearer. In fact, it actually may lead to some distortment over the call. So, just be mindful of that. I'm so sorry that we didn't get to hear your contribution, but we're going to take a quick break here on the program. And when we return, we'll continue with the phone lines open until about 9:40 this morning. We'll be right back.
Veggie Burger. The Royal Castle Veggie Burger is great on its own or in a combo with a side and a 16-ounce drink. And it's healthy too. A nutritious patty made with oats, lentils, chana, potatoes, and carrot. Inside a soft bun with tomatoes and lettuce. So for this season, try the Castle's tasty and healthy Veggie Burger. Shubh Diwali from Royal Castle.
Diwali time again. Come to Prem Singh's Puja Bhavan for all your Diwali essentials. Get your clay diyas, cotton wicks, floating wicks, beautifully decorated imported diyas. And now in stock, our long-lasting, easy-lighting wax diyas. Fasting? We have frozen vegetarian meals, exciting Indian spices and grocery items, decorated mithai boxes, prasad bags, freshly ground elaichi powder, and a paper sohari leaves. And don't forget our popular, tasty, mouth-watering mithai. We have simple Diwali Puja guides on CD with a Puja handout, and our helpful staff will assist you with all the required ingredients to perform your Diwali Puja. Get great deals on lantern decorations, electric diya string lights, and Happy Diwali decorations. Visit us at the corner of Watt Street, Kirep, or at St. Ives Street, Chaguanas, opposite the Charleville taxi stand, or call 663-6084. Prem Singh's Puja Bhavan. It's a family tradition serving the nation and Dharma. Lakshmi Mata's divine blessings to all. For your convenience, both branches are open on Sundays until Diwali.
I have been shopping at Price Club from the beginning. I love most of all the friendliness of the staff.
I shop here because my children love meat and I love meat.
My favorite section is the vegetarian section. They have such a wide variety, which I love.
I have been out shopping, to check out the prices, but here at the Lewis, it's the best.
I have tried other places and I came right back to Price Club because they are the low price leader.
Perfection doesn't happen by chance. Like an artist, the cook selects the main ingredient, one that is worthy of a proud cultural tradition. Trusted to enhance your creations with its richness and versatility, to create a cooking masterpiece. The secret is simple. The brand we know, the brand we trust, the brand our ancestors have been using for generations.
There is only one pure cow brand ghee. Look for the marks of authenticity.
Welcome back to Talking Point. We have about 10 minutes left in the program this morning, and we're going to keep the phone lines open. The numbers on your screen. We have a call on the line with us, I believe, from Diggle Martin. Good morning, caller.
Hi, guys. Thank you, and thanks to Master Control. I do not know if you all spoke about the allegations on social media by Philip Alexander. I don't think so.
No.
St. Vincent de Paul Society. So Anyhow, the president of the St. Vincent de Paul, Mr. Philip, defended his position. He stated that none of the allegations made by Philip Alexander were true, and upon hearing them, there was an impromptu visit by the Ministry of Social Development, and they were cleared. He also said their reports were in order, and had the allegations been true, they would have been closed down by the Ministry and the Division of Aging, but he spoke to, I do not know if he just wrote a post or if he spoke to him, to Mr. Alexander, and told him that he is reporting on something, but he hadn't heard their side, and he invited him and any media house to make an appointment to visit any one of their homes. He would walk them through, and he wanted people to hold him accountable. So apparently Mr. Alexander also attacked the Archbishop. These are Mr. Philip's words and Living Waters, and no other entities have anything to do with the Finbar Ryan home. And I quote, "Things are short in coming. They are billing challenges and others with caregivers, but essentially they are dealing with them, and the standard of care is up to par. They have night shelters, 6 homes, and a nursery, and they all rely on funding." So his exact words were, "We are trying, and if we don't have funds coming in as we would like, we cannot do what we would like." So the issue that people spoke of, a health issue with one of the patients where a wound became infected, not patient, one of the persons there, he said that mainly because of they're understaffed, and we know that those things can happen even in hospitals. So essentially, he thought that, they're doing the best they can. So, thanks. Bye.
Thank you, caller. And therein lies the problem, right? To what extent is his criticisms valid? To what extent are they completely false? If the ministry cleared them? To what extent do we believe the ministry's clearance? I'm not going to automatically discount the claims that Mr. Alexander made, but at the same time, he doesn't necessarily have a reputation of being accurate all the time.
I mean, it's
like the boy who cried wolf, Keaton. If he was more careful what he said.
John, I would tell you to stop right there. Because if you can say something that has nothing to do with Mr. Alexander, if you call his name, you'll be very quick to get a lawsuit. So Fair enough. Right there. We have a call in line with us from Westmoreland. Good morning, caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. Yes, good morning, sir. I just wanted to make a comment about a solution for solving crime. And the only solution I could see is that for the government to open marijuana dispensaries throughout the country, right? Because the value of marijuana now is extremely high. Look, the police found 7 kilos of marijuana, and it was valued at $2.5 million, right? And that is the money that is being used to buy all these guns. You have people who are in the business of supplying the guns to these drug lords all over the country. And you need to take that business away from them. If they want to go into cultivation and sell the marijuana to the government, well, so be it. But you need to take that business because it's extremely lucrative. Look in Barbados, for instance. I was there recently. And this wasn't even reported in the papers. Over a 2-week period, 20 people were murdered, all gang-related. 1 gram of marijuana in Barbados is $60 Barbadian. 1 gram, right? A quarter ounce of marijuana here in Trinidad is selling for over $100. And that is not even the high-grade stuff. The high-grade stuff might be $200. So this is for a country with so many university graduates, we are a bunch of fools in this country. Because it doesn't matter who the commissioner of police is, right? It's not going to stop the gang warfare, the turf wars, they're killing one another because it's an extremely lucrative business. And we need to get our act together as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your contribution. I think you've made a point. I mean, you're very elaborate, but I think, if I'm being honest with you, I think though that there is a position and an argument to be made about the marijuana trade in Trinidad, I think it's a lot more than marijuana. I think cocaine certainly is something that you have to look at. Distribution of cocaine. I also think heroin. So yes, maybe we remove. We speak about the distribution of marijuana and the legality of it. But I think cocaine and heroin more. If you focus on those two drugs, certainly have a lot more. Because bear in mind, Kola, you're allowed to grow four marijuana plants in your backyard. 4 marijuana plants per person. So, I mean, I don't think it's really much to do with that. But I mean, you have a fair point overall. We have our final caller this morning on the line with us from Diego Martin. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
I just came on the kitchen here, so what I noticed, those gruesome killings, I guess an opinion, I suspect is that people taking products from these Venezuelans and not paying them, and seeing that they are from Venezuela, they feel they have the upper hand, and that's leading to these groups. Because that's how some of them operate, most of them in this kind of field, and they send a message through that. So I said, let's make a 2 cents there with you this morning, and thank you for taking my call as usual. And you guys have a great day.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you very much, caller. Yeah, you're right. The other issue that we have to speak about, Sean, which we didn't get an opportunity to, and I mean, I guess we will do so at a later date. We have to speak about Venezuelan migrants in Trinidad and what it means to Trinidad. But also, what that caller just mentioned, South American gangs in Trinidad. I mean, we're not oblivious to the fact that there's so many various gangs from around the world that are operating in Trinidad and Tobago. We're not oblivious to that. But you see, what's going to happen now is that when you have Trinidad and Tobago gangs clashing with foreign gangs in Trinidad and Tobago, the war that we are currently witnessing is just the start. Mm-hmm. It is just the start. Now, the good news is, all right, and this is probably a bad way to segue into, is that we're going to leave the phone lines open because we will end the program at 9:45. But overall, Sean, my mind is boggled this morning because, as I said, I have so much in my mind. There's a lot that I'd like to talk about, but time simply does not permit for it.
Yeah.
And because of that, sometimes we just have no choice but to move on.
Well, just again, people, 9:45, we could take probably 2 more calls if you call in quick. Don't be afraid to call, voice your opinion. With regards to legalizing marijuana, one of our callers, I agree with that actually. And the only problem, I would want to say we should consider legalizing other things and figuring out a different approach. Portugal, on the surface, had that approach, but it seems as though they didn't really commit to it. So the effectiveness of decriminalizing harder drugs, that is very much up in the air. Although the money, the revenue argument, and we saw that with American prohibition and what alcohol alone did, I think that is somewhat attractive to at least consider what if we could have an alternative approach to even harder drugs like heroin or cocaine or the others. With regards to how the commissioner was selected, it was something that was brought up by 2 callers previously. I think this whole process and chain of command needs to be rethought out, because I'm not really liking the various implications and even how it plays out right now. I'm not sure if anybody else who looks into it could would say that they liked the implications of how our structure is set up.
Bobby, let me just state that I hope nobody misinterpreted my comments, and maybe it's my part in terms of communication. Not decriminalizing heroin or cocaine, but more so certainly if you are able to cut off. This is why a border patrol system is absolute. You see, if you're able to cut off the trade coming into Trinidad, and you're able to actually try because geographically, yes, we're in a blessed position, but we're also in a very difficult position. If you're able to cut off Trinidad as a transshipment point and try and stop the flow of drugs coming in, the biggest issue is whether or not we have the capability and whether or not they are producing cocaine and heroin in Trinidad. That is what you'll have to deal with. But currently, I think marijuana is not really the bigger problem as it relates to the drug trade and the funding of these gangs. We have a caller on the line with us from San Fernando. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, gentlemen, I got cut off with when I was finishing my contribution, so I'll call back to try and finish it.
Sure.
If you have a problem with that. No
problem.
Back to that issue with the Commissioner of Police. My thing is, the Commissioner of Police now reports to, the Police Service Commission. If the Service Commission wants to do something with the Commissioner of Police, they have to go to the President. We have to understand, if the political directorate is the one ultimately responsible to the population, then they must have some say in how the police commissioner, if they need to fire the commissioner. That is just how it is, because the police commissioner's position is a political position, because it affects everything. It's a political, because if it is that we gonna complain to the politician and he is basically ring fenced and untouchable by us, that can't be the case. Then we need constitutional reform, and I keep saying this. This country needs to sit down and get some of the people together and have consultations over a period of time, and let us start to fix, because the constitution not working for us anymore. Quite frankly, it's not working for us. Mr. Leasing said something on the program recently what you guys say. He said, when he talk about absolute democracy, that's not working in Trinidad and Tobago anymore. It's not working. So we need to sit down and see how we need to fix this place. Because we're going to hell in a handbasket. Sorry to say that, but it is so disturbing to see what is happening in Trinidad and Tobago. A 9-year-old get killed she gets shot in watching a football game. That can't be. That can't be. We need, as they say, as the old people say, they need to take the bull by the horn now. This place needs to get fixed. And okay, if we start with the Commissioner of Police, as you say, Keaton, it have 15 other people there. Gary Griffith time gone. We're gonna try somebody else. But these things that you see this program here, and how we dispensing what we want, what we dispensing our ideas. This is what we need. The population now needs to come out in force and voice their opinion.
Yes.
And thank you for allowing that, guys.
Thank you, caller.
Have a good day.
Caller, I understand your point. I think the only problem is how it's set up now. We don't have proper checks and balances. So to allow the political leadership to have direct authority brings up its own problems. But I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. It's just the setup is not conducive for that.
But that's what the callers are arguing against.
Yeah.
We need to have consultations to change such, because there is a sense of absolute authority within the political arena. They basically control everything, and there are individuals who will probably control those political parties in a financial way. But there will not be constitutional reform right now, even though there should be. It's going to take some time. There should be consultations, but it wouldn't happen simply because, guess what? It's benefiting who? It's benefiting those in power. It's benefiting those in authority. It's the same thing. Like, how long now are we here to campaign finance reform when it comes to political parties and elections? They talk about it on the campaign trail and they never change it. Why? Because it benefits them as is.
But here's another thing, because the caller made an interesting point, that we need more conversation. The people's voices, opinions need to be heard. Granted, in a democracy, yes, not all opinions are going to be correct. Some will have the, impractical take or inaccurate take. We get that. But I do have to wonder, what is the purpose of political parties in this country? Because as far as I'm aware, I don't think any sort of ideology or opinions or views, or enough of it, is being discussed, disseminated from parties from their, I mean, the PNM had the party group system. I'm not sure about the UNC, but are the people from the ground able to voice their concerns in an effective manner and have it reach the people on the top? And I'm not talking about just, oh, we want to win the next election. We want a red wave or a yellow wave. I'm talking about specifics, you know, for businessmen, for people who are looking for more employment opportunities. Do we have that? And this is just another area where our political parties, I think, are basically, it's like Keaton, it's like our education system. They only set up to pass the next exam.
Before we get too close, I think we basically run out of time.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh.
Yes, but thank you very much to all of us for the contribution. Thank you very much to Mr. Camille Pascal and to Mr. Sean Michael Small and Keaton Jen. And I just want you to think about this as we conclude. Call in tomorrow and tell me what you think about it. There is no political ideology. There's no independent political ideology because both the UNC and the PNM have the same political ideology. They basically say the same thing and argue the same thing. But guess what? At the end of the day, they have their followers, and that is where they gain their strength. They have no separate political ideologies. The PNM and the UNC are more or less, in my opinion, the same thing. Tell me what you think tomorrow. But that's it for now. I'm Keaton Shaw. This has been Talking Point. Thank you very much to those in WSN and in Master Control for making this possible. And we will see you again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.
WESN